So it says Jonathan Edwards revives Enfield, Connecticut, 1741. It has a little intro paragraph. It says
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Edwards catalyzed the revivals known as the Great Awakening. So a catalyst is something that speeds up a chemical reaction. So he basically fired up the revivals, right?
Mm-hmm.
While Edwards was not the most prolific revivalist of the era, he wasn't the one who had the most, did the most,
Mm-hmm.
because that honor goes to George Whitefield, the itinerant preacher, right?
Oh, uh-huh.
Jonathan Edwards was not primarily an itinerant preacher. He stayed um, kind of in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Jonathan Edwards did deliver the most famous sermon of the 18th century, which we're reading part of, commonly
Mm-hmm.
called Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. This
Mm-hmm.
excerpt is drawn from the final portion of the sermon, known
Mm-hmm.
as the application, where hearers were called to take action. So typically, when you give a sermon, you lay out like an introduction, what you're going to say, then you preach your message and back it up with a bunch of scriptures
Oh.
and examples. And you sometimes have scriptures in the application too, but then the application is where, okay, we've heard the sermon.
Mm-hmm.
You've told us about hell and how horrible hell is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've given us the scriptural basis for hell
Mm-hmm.
or whatever their claims they're making. And now he's getting people to apply the word to their lives.
Oh,
Okay, so
okay.
we're reading that part of the sermon. So it says, that world of misery, that lake of burning brimstone is extended abroad under you. So one of
Mm-hmm.
the ways that hell is described in scripture
Mm-hmm.
is this lake of burning fire and brimstone.
Oh.
Brimstone is a kind of ore that when you burn it, it burns really long and really hot. So it goes with this whole
Oh.
eternal fire that never goes out. There is
Mm-hmm.
the dreadful pit of the glowing flames of the wrath of God, because hell is described as this place of fire and brimstone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the wrath of God is reserved for the devil and his angels and the people who follow him.
Mm-hmm.
There is hell's wide gaping mouth open, and you have nothing to stand upon, nor anything to take hold of. So basically, the picture is here you are suspended over this fiery pit, and you have nothing to stand on. There's nothing solid to stand on, and you have nothing to grab onto. You're just dangling over this pit.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing between you and hell but the air.
Mm-hmm.
'Tis only the power and mere pleasure of God that holds you up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're only where you are because God wants you there. So
Yes.
if you're not in hell, it's only because God's pleasure is to keep you from going there right now. You
Mm-hmm.
probably are not sensible of this. So you're probably not aware. Basically, he's trying to show them how near
Mm-hmm.
eternity and hell is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You find that you are kept out of hell,
Mm-hmm.
but don't see the hand of God in it. But look at other things as the good state of your bodily constitution, your care of your own life, and the means you use for your own preservation. So basically, he's saying, look, you're all one step away, one heartbeat away from hell. And you think that it's because you take such good care of your body, you keep your body from dying, you keep yourself healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take care for your own life, like you actually pay attention, and
Mm-hmm.
the means that you use for your own preservation. So you feed yourself, you try to stay out of trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you try to do good works, but all of those things, but indeed those things are nothing if God should withdraw his hand, because
Oh.
you are in God's hand right now, Edwards is saying. And if
Okay.
he withdraws his hand, you're going down to the pit. That's the implication of this. They, meaning the things that you do to keep yourself from going to hell,
Mm-hmm.
they would avail, they would not be effective to keep you from falling.
Mm-hmm.
They would avail no more to keep you from falling than a thin air to hold up a person that is suspended in it. So if you were if you were in the air, like think of somebody falling out of an airplane, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything to keep yourself from falling if you're in the air like that.
Mm-mm.
Now you could have a parachute to stop you from, crashing to the ground. But if you're in the air is not going to hold you up. You're heavier than air. And
Mm-hmm.
he's saying it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to fall down. If God withdraws, because God's hand is supporting you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's you're in his hand. And so literally, if he withdraws his hand, you're going down to the pit. It doesn't
Yes.
matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
The God that holds you over the pit of hell,
Mm-hmm.
much as one holds a spider or some loathsome insect over the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that I don't know if you've done this. This is not as common anymore. But people used to kill insects by holding them over the fire, dropping them in the fire or whatever.
Oh.
He's saying, God he's gonna get to this. You're like an insect
Mm-hmm.
over the fire. And God doesn't like you because you're a sinner. And God is going to withdraw his hand and drop you in the fire like you drop this hateful insect there that you don't like. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so he says, the God that holds you over the pit of hell, much as one holds a spider or some loathsome insect over the fire, abhors you. He hates you and is
Mm-hmm.
dreadfully provoked. So not only does he hate you,
Mm-hmm.
but he's really pissed off. He's
Mm-hmm.
dreadfully provoked. His wrath toward you burns like fire.
Oh.
He looks upon you as worthy of nothing else but to be cast into the fire. Now, he's not going to tell you, he's going to tell you what, but let me kind of back up here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He is talking to sinners.
Mm-hmm.
He's casting this whole sermon about sinners. God loves the people who follow him,
Mm-hmm.
who believe in him, who repent, who are living with him. But if you're a sinner, if you're not right with him, God hates you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have anything to stand on. There's nothing you can do. You're as helpless as this loathsome insect that he's going to throw into the fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
He looks upon you as nothing else, worthy of nothing else, but to be cast into the fire. He is of purer eyes
Mm-hmm.
than to bear to have you in his sight. God is so pure that he can't stand to be in the presence of sin.
Oh.
And you are a sinner.
Mm-hmm.
And God can't stand to be in the presence of sin. So he's going to shove you out of his face,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. Right?
Yes.
Um, let's see. You are 10,000 times. Okay, John. You are
Mm.
10,000 times so abominable in his eyes
Mm-hmm.
as the most hateful venomous serpent is in ours. So think of the most loathsome snake that you can think of.
Yeah.
Most people hate snakes. Think of the most loathsome snake
Mm-hmm.
that you can think of
Mm-hmm.
and how much you hate looking at it because it's so ugly or so repulsive or so
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily fearful, just it's ugly and you get it out of my face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Multiply that by 10,000.
Yeah.
You're 10,000 times more hateful than that. You have offended him, God,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
infinitely more than ever a stubborn rebel did his prince. So, this matter of sin before
Mm-hmm.
God with you,
Yeah.
he compares it to a king with his prince. If you have the prince is the son of the king,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
You think of the most rebellious prince in history that you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
You've offended God more than that.
Oh.
And God, and yet 'tis nothing but God's hand that holds you from falling into the fire every moment.
Mm-hmm.
All that's holding you here, as much as he hates you, as angry as he is, all that's keeping you here right now
Yes.
is his hand that's holding you up.
Oh, okay.
And you don't even know because you're not even thinking. I mean, this is the picture that Edwards is painting here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that keeps you from falling into the fire every moment. 'Tis to be ascribed to nothing else that you did not go to hell last night, that you was suffered. In other words, this doesn't mean suffer pain. It means you were allowed, you were permitted to awake again, that
Mm-hmm.
you were suffered to awake again in this world
Mm-hmm.
after you closed your eyes to sleep. And there is no reason to be given why you have not dropped into hell since you arose in the morning, but
Mm-hmm.
that God's hand has held you up. There is no other reason given why you haven't gone to hell since you've sat here in the house of God, provoking his pure eyes by your sinful, wicked manner of attending his solemn worship.
Mm.
Yea, there is nothing else that is to be given a reason why you don't this very moment drop down into hell. So
Oh.
his supposition, his
Mm-hmm.
presumption in this application is he's talking to sinners. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Remember, it's called sinners in the hands of an angry God. So he's not talking to people who are righteous. He's not talking to
Mm-hmm.
people who are right with God. He's talking to sinners, okay,
Mm-hmm.
who think they're right with him.
Oh.
You're sitting here and you don't even know that it's God's hand that's keeping you out of hell. You don't
Mm.
even know that you could go down, you could die in spite of your best efforts. You could die and go down to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have dropped down and gone to hell last night
Mm-hmm.
or this morning, but here you are sitting in this church, in this worship setting, and God hates you and he's stirred up in wrath against you. And there's no reason why at this very moment he shouldn't just let go and let you drop.
Wow. Mm.
That's the picture that he's painting here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and he's justified in the sense that he'll use scriptures like all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that we're all sinners and so it's kind of that and it's a very different sort of view of God than we have today. Very
Mm-hmm.
harsh, but this is the picture that he's painting here.
Uh-huh.
So focus on, from the first part of what we read, focus on that picture of being held in the hand of God over this raging fire that if he removes his hand, you're going to drop to hell, because that's the
Oh,
picture that
okay.
he's conveying here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes.
sinner, Consider the fearful danger you are in. 'Tis a
Mm.
great furnace, that a furnace, in this case, he's talking about like a stove, right? That you would put coal in. That's a furnace. Hell is a furnace. It's a giant stove that's full of fire that's
Mm-hmm.
fueled by this brimstone and his wrath, right?
Oh, okay.
A wide and bottomless pit full of the fire of wrath, that you are held over in the hand of God, whose wrath is provoked and incensed. That's another word for very angry. So he's provoked. And not only is he provoked, meaning he's stirred to action, he's completely incensed. So he's
Oh.
he's gotten to the point where he's so pissed off
Mm-hmm.
that he's ready to act. He's provoked to action as much against you. Now, remember, the people he's talking about are alive. They're not in
Oh.
hell,
Mm-hmm.
right? They should be, according to him, but they're not. As many against many of the damned in hell. So he's
Mm-hmm.
as mad at you right now as he is at the people who are already in hell.
Mm-hmm.
He is, it says, whose wrath is provoked and incensed as much against you
Mm-hmm.
as against many of the damned in hell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You hang by a slender thread. Again,
Mm-hmm.
go back to that image of I caught the insect. The insect is, maybe it's a spider, and maybe
Yeah.
you pulled the spider web and it's attached, and you're going to drop the spider into the fire. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of the image here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you hang by a slender thread with the flames of divine wrath flashing about it. So you can see the fire coming up around you
Mm-hmm.
and ready at every moment to singe it. So you're
Oh.
you're feeling, you're not in the flames, but the thread is getting singed by the flames. Like you're really close. And burn
Mm.
it asunder, like burn it apart. If the
Oh.
flame singes the thread's gonna dissolve and you're gonna drop,
Oh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have no interest. Now, that's the situation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you are. And he says, you, sinner, have no interest in any mediator,
Oh.
because either you could be mad at God, you could believe he doesn't exist, you could be totally oblivious to him, but
Mm-hmm.
you have no interest in any mediator. Now, if you were in this position
Mm-hmm.
and you knew that you were in this position, that you could drop into hell, and it's not like you go to hell and you can come out at some point,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he says you have no interest in any mediator and nothing to lay hold of to save yourself, nothing to keep
Mm-hmm.
off the flames of wrath, nothing of your own, nothing that you ever have done, that you can do to induce God to spare you one moment.
Oh.
Okay, so he's
Mm-hmm.
painted this picture. Do you understand where this is going?
Yeah, I see that he's kind of giving to these sinners the sense that they felt like by attending, let's say, this worship and even their own actions are what's actually keeping them from hell, but instead it's the other way around. Jonathan Edwards is trying to reveal to them that's actually God, and God is the one who is both keeping them from falling, but at the same time is not
Yeah,
a fan of them.
exactly. That's exactly right. This, you
Mm.
could think of this as, if you've ever seen or if you've ever heard of any kind of intervention for like drugs or some kind of
Oh.
substance, you where people really try to tell you like this is your true state, let us tell you. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
what it's kind of like that. Jonathan Edwards is coming to them and saying, look, wake up,
Mm.
wake up, sinner. Like, you could, this is, and sometimes you'll hear, not as much today, but if
Mm-hmm.
you went back to maybe 50 years ago or 40 years ago, in certain
Mm-hmm.
places you'll still hear this, but like, have you ever had anybody come up to you? Usually, people who evangelize on the street will do this. If you died today, do you know you would go to heaven? You know,
Oh.
it's kind of like that.
Oh. Uh-huh.
Except that's his that except his thing is probably if you die today, you go to hell. Are you ready for that? Do you understand that you go to hell if you died today?
Oh. Uh-huh.
That's kind of his take on it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But the picture of the insect dangling or the snake that
Mm-hmm.
you hate, that's kind
Yes.
of he's using that as a picture of God's disposition and your
Oh.
fragility and
Mm-hmm.
your incapacity to do anything. He's
Mm.
because usually if you ask somebody, like if I ask you, are you a believer in
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people will say yes. If people say yes,
Mm-hmm.
then they'll ask you a question like, well, why do you think you should go to heaven?
Oh.
Or why do you think God should let you in? And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people will answer, well, I try to be a good person, or I go to church, or I
Mm-hmm.
help the poor, whatever the answer is. And he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
look, you can't do anything. Not that
Uh-huh.
those things are bad. He's not making a value judgment
Mm-hmm.
about that. But you
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything to earn this, to fix his wrath toward you. And
Oh.
he's gonna give you the cure, but he wants to shake people out of their sort of apathy. Remember, this is a
Oh. Uh-huh.
revival. So he's trying to
Yes.
shake them up.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lot like Scared Straight. If you ever saw anything like that, where they
Oh.
get prisoners to talk to kids that are going wayward, and they try to shake them up.
Oh.
It's kind
Uh-huh.
of like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, uh-huh. It's basically very similar to an interpretation I've made so far, which is that Edward is trying to get again as the little intro paragraph did, he wants the people, the sinners, to actually take action, to actually do something
Yeah, but
to
he wants, and he hasn't told them what yet.
okay.
He's just trying to paint this picture of, do you know how desperate your situation is?
Mm-hmm.
Because most people think, I mean, if I tell you, yeah, I could die tomorrow, if I say, Oscar, you really should get right with God, you could die tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, unless the Spirit of the Lord is working on you, you're probably not going to have a second thought about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's
Yes.
trying to get through that.
Oh.
Okay, so here, consider this, Edward says, that you are here present.
Mm-hmm.
You're here, that yet remain in an unregenerate state.
Mm-hmm.
Unregenerate means they're not in a saving state with him. They haven't been born again, they haven't been regenerated. You remain unregenerated.
Oh.
That God, because you're unregenerated,
Mm-hmm.
will execute, or not execute in the sense of kill you,
Mm-hmm.
execute the fierceness of his anger. So he's going to
Mm.
act on how angry he is.
Oh, okay.
He's ready to like unleash his anger on you.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Implies that he will inflict wrath,
Mm-hmm.
because we've been reading about his wrath, right?
Yes.
Without any pity.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's about ready, when wait till your father gets home, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
You will be a vessel of wrath fitted to destruction. So you will be a vessel of wrath, um, fitted or appropriated or set for destruction, and
Mm-hmm.
there will be no other use of this vessel but only to be filled full of wrath. God will be
Oh.
so far from pitying you when you cry to him that he will only laugh and mock.
Mm.
This is a verse from Proverbs that talks about how um, God is angry with sinners and he laughs and mocks them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here it's a picture of a vessel, like a vase or something that you would use to hold things in your house, right? You have
Mm-hmm.
certain vessels for things. You
Yes.
have the vase for the flowers. You have the vials for the oil. You
Mm-hmm.
have the bottles for the think of it like a bottle. It's a vessel, something that you would carry it in. So you have vessels to carry oil, you have vessels to store salt, you have vessels to store water, those kinds of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are a vessel in God's hand. And the only
Oh.
thing you're good for is to be filled full of wrath. That's the only thing God sees. All I'm going to do is store my wrath, my anger in
Oh.
you.
Uh-huh.
That's what Edwards is saying. God
Uh-huh.
will be so far from pitying you when you cry to him.
Mm-hmm.
His pity is done with. He's gonna
Mm.
he's gonna throw his you're gonna be his object of wrath, and he's not gonna pity you. He's done with that. He's only gonna laugh at you and make fun
Mm.
of you.
Oh.
The time of his mercy is over. Where
Oh.
is the so he says, how dreadful is the state of those that are daily and hourly in danger of this great wrath
Mm-hmm.
and infinite misery. So not only is it his great wrath that he's going to push on you, but
Mm-hmm.
the end result of that is that you're separated in this fiery pit forever.
Oh.
Because the Bible says that to be in that lake of fire, to be in hell,
Mm-hmm.
is to be separated forever from God.
Oh.
That's hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is the dismal case of every now. Remember, this is what I said to you,
Mm-hmm.
that he wasn't talking to, he's talking to sinners, and here we get to it. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the dismal case, this case that he just spent the last 3 or 4 paragraphs describing, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the dismal case of every soul in this congregation that has not been born again, or every unregenerate soul,
Mm.
every soul that hasn't been born again.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you can be sober, meaning serious, or
Mm-hmm.
not just not influenced by alcohol. You can be a sober person, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can be very moral. You can be religious,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still be in this state.
Mm-hmm.
You can be moral and you can still be a sinner.
Oh, okay.
However moral and strict, sober and religious they may otherwise be, they haven't been born again. He doesn't tell you what born again means,
Mm-hmm.
but it's possible to be this and not be born again.
Oh, okay.
It's also possible to be born again and be that. But
Mm.
some people can be, this is Think of the moral atheist.
Oh.
Think of the person who says, yeah, but I give to the poor and I do all these good works, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
have they haven't had a relationship with God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that you would consider it, whether you be young or old.
Mm-hmm.
There is reason to think that there are many in this congregation now hearing this discourse that will actually be the subjects of this very misery to all eternity. So there are some of you under the sound of my voice right now, Edwards is saying,
Mm-hmm.
that you're gonna go to hell. That it's
Oh.
very likely that you're gonna go to hell. He doesn't tell them that there is reason to think, he said, that
Oh.
many are that will actually go to hell. We
Uh-huh.
know not who they are
Mm-hmm.
because, and he's very careful because we don't know the state of somebody's heart.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, it's the state of somebody's heart before God that makes them a subject of hell or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he says there's reason you can, I mean, you can look at people sometimes and go, they may have been created in the image of God, but they're not demonstrating a lot of godly characteristics. You know what I mean? That's kind
Oh.
of what's happening here. We
Mm-hmm.
know not who they are or in what seats they sit or what thoughts they now have. Maybe they're changing. We don't know that. It
Mm-hmm.
may be promising themselves that they shall escape. Okay, well, I'll escape because God knows I did this many prayers this week, or I
Mm-hmm.
gave this much money in the offering, or I whatever, right? If we knew that there is one person and but one in the whole congregation that was to be the subject of
Oh.
misery, what an
Mm-hmm.
awful thing would it be to think of?
Mm-hmm.
If we knew who it was, what an awful sight it would be to see such a person.
Mm-hmm.
How might all the rest of us in the congregation lift up a lamentable and bitter cry over him? So Jonathan is saying here, we don't know who, it stands to reason, he says, that
Mm-hmm.
there are people here who are going to end up in hell, but we don't know who. But stop and think if you did know who. What if the person next to you was a person who was headed for hell?
Mm-hmm.
What if it was your neighbor or your best friend or your child's teacher? Or,
Mm-hmm.
how hard would it be for you knowing that? Knowing that that person
Mm-hmm.
would be in this state and would be forever tormented. But
Oh.
alas, instead of one, how many is it likely will remember this discourse in hell? And would
Uh-huh.
it be a wonder if some that are now present should not be in hell a very short time before this year is out? Okay, so now he's pulling out the language that we're used to. Like
Mm-hmm.
some of you are going to be in hell very soon if you don't turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you might remember hearing this sermon in hell.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be in hell tormented, and you're going to remember that you heard this sermon, and you're going to think, I should have done, and it would be no wonder if
Mm-hmm.
some person now that now sits in some seat of this meeting house in health and quiet and secure. So right
Mm-hmm.
now they're healthy, they're peaceful, and they're secure in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Should be there before tomorrow morning. So there might be somebody who dies
Mm-hmm.
and goes to hell before tomorrow morning. Some of you, under the sound of my voice, don't have much time left. you might be in hell within the year. And some of you
Oh.
might even be in hell by tomorrow morning.
Mm.
Those of you that finally continue in a natural condition that shall keep out of hell longest
Mm-hmm.
will be there in a little time. He says, even those of you who are healthy and strong, and maybe there's some of you that will live on for 80, 90 years. You're
Wow.
naturally vigorous, right? He's not
Mm-hmm.
saying it in these words, but he's saying that continue in a natural condition. In other words, a physical body
Mm-hmm.
that shall keep out of hell longest, longer than the rest of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will be there in a little time. So the longest person who ever lived lives 90, 100 years.
Mm.
That's a little time compared to eternity.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your damnation don't slumber. It will come swiftly. Yeah, you might enjoy that, but it will come swiftly. And in all probability, very suddenly upon many of you.
Mm-hmm.
You have reason to wonder that you are not already in hell. 'Tis doubtless the case that some of you that heretofore you have seen and known. So some of the people that you've known before this or up to now,
Mm-hmm.
you look back at some of the other people that you've known in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's very likely that some of those people didn't deserve hell as much as you did or you do,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be there, but they'll deserve it less than you. Like their penalty will be
Oh.
less.
Interesting. Okay.
And that heretofore appeared as likely to have been alive as you. So
Mm.
you are, he's telling you, like, look, you're looking at this is for the person who says, well, look, I'm a good person and everybody around me is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why would I worry, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
look, those people that you wonder, well, up to now, they're not in hell.
Mm.
They can go to hell just as easily.
Mm-hmm.
And they may be less deserving of it than you. They still deserve it, just less.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, the condition here is he's talking to the people with unregenerated hearts. He's talking to the people that are not born again. Okay.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't told you how to be born again
Mm-hmm.
yet, but this is the people that he's talking to, the people that are not regenerated. So it doesn't matter how many good works they do, or how they are, or how much they've suffered, or done any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So they've never deserved hell more than you, and that heretofore appeared as likely to have been alive as you. Their case is past all hope. They
Oh.
are crying in extreme misery and perfect despair. So some of those people have gone on.
Mm-hmm.
But here you are, the people listening to me right now. Here
Mm-hmm.
you people are listening to me in the land of the living. And not only are you living, you're actually in church listening to this.
Oh.
And here's another and
Mm-hmm.
you have an opportunity to obtain salvation. Now, keep in mind, he hasn't told them how to obtain it.
Mm-hmm.
He just told them they need to have regenerated hearts and be born again. But you see, he's building his case. And so you can see if people get very convicted,
Mm-hmm.
they're waiting for the answer here. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
what's the answer? What would not these poor, damned, hopeless souls give for one such opportunity as you now enjoy? The people in hell
Mm-hmm.
would give everything they have for one day to come back and fix this
Oh.
and fix their state. They don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
They can't come back. And now he says, you, the people sitting here in this church listening to me, you
Mm-hmm.
have an extraordinary opportunity,
Interesting. Okay.
a day wherein Christ has flung the door of mercy wide open. Now, this is, there's a Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the picture that we saw at the beginning, dangling you over the pit,
Mm-hmm.
that's that's not a picture, that's not the same picture of Christ flinging the door of mercy wide open. Christ,
Oh.
this is a reference to Christ saying, I am the door of the sheep. In other words,
Oh.
he's the doorway of salvation.
Okay.
Anybody that comes to God comes through Jesus Christ. And that's the image here, wherein Christ has flung the door of mercy wide open and stands in the door calling and crying with a loud voice to poor sinners. So he's
Oh.
standing there, he's saying, come to me.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
A day wherein many are flocking to him and pressing into the kingdom of God. So now the picture has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's the mercy of Christ. We see how God, we have this wrathful God
Mm-hmm.
with, we're in his hand, right? And yet now we have Christ flinging the door of mercy open and calling sinners to come to him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have scriptures like, those who come to me, I will not cast out, right? Those kinds of scriptures, right?
Yes.
And pressing into the kingdom of God. Many are daily coming from the east, the west, the north, and the south. They that were lately or of late or recently
Mm-hmm.
in the same miserable condition that you are now in right now. The
Oh,
ones
uh-huh.
of you who don't know where you are, who don't know you're a sinner, who are starting to understand that you're a sinner and can't get out of it, are now in happy state with their
Mm.
hearts filled with love to him that has loved them and washed them from their sins in his own blood. This
Mm-hmm.
is a quote from the scriptures, and rejoicing in the hope of the glory of God.
Mm-hmm.
How awful it is to be left behind at such a day. So here you are at the day where God takes the ones who Christ has had mercy on.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
To see so many others feasting, here it's a reference to
The
the
feast?
feasting in heaven, while you
Oh.
are pining and perishing.
Mm-hmm.
To see so many rejoicing and singing for joy of heart, while you have cause to mourn for sorrow of heart and howl for vexation of spirit. Your spirit
Mm-hmm.
is stirred up and it's vexed. It doesn't know what to do, and you're just in such a state that you just howl and you're crying and sobbing and howling. How can you rest one moment in such a condition? Are
Oh.
not your souls as precious of the souls of the people at Suffield, where
Mm-hmm.
they are flocking from day to day to Christ? Suffield, I think, was a nearby city that was
Oh.
experiencing, I think, revival at that
Mm-hmm.
time. I have to look that up, but I think he's referring to um another revival where people, and you, the children that are unconverted,
Mm-hmm.
don't you know that you're going down to hell? Again, we're back to, now he's contrasted it with the mercy of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you children that are unconverted, don't you know that you're going down to hell to bear the dreadful wrath of God that is now angry with you every day and every night?
Mm-hmm.
Will you be content to be the children of the devil
Mm-hmm.
when so many other children in the land are converted and have become the holy and happy children of the King of Kings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now he gets down to the crux of it. And let everyone that is yet out of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Here he's, this is again another scriptural image. You're
Oh.
either in Christ,
Mm-hmm.
meaning you're part of him, or you're outside of Christ.
Oh.
So if you're in Christ because you've been accepted by him. You've come to Christ for mercy. Now you're in him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where the unregenerated, the ones who haven't had their souls purified by him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So unregenerated, unsaved, unrepentant, um, and not born again, those are all the same term.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you're estranged from Christ. You don't know God, right?
Oh, uh-huh.
Has nothing to do with your works. This is not a discussion about works. This is, you don't know God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those of you that are out of Christ,
Yes.
and hanging over the pit. So again, same image, the spider with the, whether they be old
Mm-hmm.
men and women, or middle-aged, or young people, or little children, now hearken to the loud calls of God's word and providence.
Mm-hmm.
This acceptable year of the Lord, this is a phrase in the Bible. Jesus
Mm-hmm.
said he came to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and the favor of God,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yes.
this is the time that God's ordained for you to come to him, for him to accept you. This is a day of such great favor to some that will doubtless be a day as remarkable vengeance to others.
Mm-hmm.
When God comes, the day of his favor to some, like here I'm bringing you this message. Some people are going to accept it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to allow God to change their hearts. And
Oh.
that's going to be their acceptable year has come. In other words, God came to them,
Mm-hmm.
they accepted this moment of grace, and they changed their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed God to change their hearts. Other people are going to harden their hearts and justify themselves and say, no, I'm good. I've done enough good. God's not going to send me to hell, right? Whatever. That's going to come back as the day of vengeance for them. They're going to stand before God, and God's going to take vengeance on them,
Oh.
right? Because they're not regenerating. It is a day of
Mm.
such great favor to some, will doubtless be a day of remarkable vengeance to others. Therefore, let everyone that is now out of Christ, so they don't know him, they're not regenerated, and they are not in his mercy, now awake.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why this, besides the weird language, one of the reasons why this sermon can be hard to read is there's a lot of religious language in here. So
Ah.
there's a lot of Christian imagery that
Mm-hmm.
if you're not familiar with it, it doesn't have the same import. One of the things that happens here is people who don't know God,
Mm-hmm.
one of the ways that they're portrayed is people who are asleep. They're not aware.
Oh.
They're asleep. They haven't awakened to, remember, this is the great awakening, right? It's called that
Mm-hmm.
for a reasoning, right?
Yes.
Jonathan Edwards is trying to jolt these people awake and get them out of their stupor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let everyone that is now out of Christ, meaning they don't have access to his mercy, they're that spider dangling on a string. They're in God's hand, but they don't even know
Mm-hmm.
that it's his hand holding them up. And fly, in other words, flee,
Mm-hmm.
run away from the wrath to come.
Oh.
So God is mad at you. Christ extends the door of mercy, but God is mad at you. There's wrath that's coming. He's getting ready to execute his wrath on
Oh,
you.
okay.
Wake up and run away from the wrath to come. Run to Jesus. Jesus is the door, he says, right?
Mm-hmm.
The wrath of Almighty God is now undoubtedly hanging over a great part of this congregation. Let everyone fly. Okay, this is another image. Fly or run, flee out of Sodom.
Oh.
This is an image of there's a story. Are
Mm-hmm.
you familiar with Sodom and Gomorrah?
Mm, they sound a bit unfamiliar to
Okay.
me.
So this is another biblical story, Old
Mm-hmm.
Testament, right?
Ah, okay.
So there were this was in the early days of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
There was this man named Lot. They had weird names back then.
Ah.
And Lot had two daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually the nephew of Abraham, which you may have
Oh.
heard of. Okay.
Okay.
Abraham is more famous than Lot, but um Abraham and Lot separated. Lot
Mm-hmm.
went to go live in Sodom,
Mm-hmm.
and Lot became a man of some influence there.
Mm.
But the scripture says that the people of Sodom were extremely wicked,
Oh.
so much so that angels come.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to the story than this, but
Yes.
angels come to Lot, and they have to rescue Lot from the townspeople, because the townspeople get all stirred up about him, and they get all stirred up. So the angels come to him and say, look, Lot, if you have people, they know he has daughters, and they know he has a wife.
Mm-hmm.
So Lot has two daughters and a wife. They say, look, in 3 days, the angels tell him God's going to destroy the city.
Mm.
And you need to tell everybody you know that God's going to destroy the city. Bring them all in your house. We're going to get you out.
Oh.
Well, so Lot Lot gets laughed at, jeered at. Nobody listens to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the angel says, okay, Lot, get your wife, get
Ah.
your daughters.
Mm.
We want you to run. And they tell him exactly where he's supposed to run to
Mm-hmm.
with his daughters, right? You're gonna run to that place that we told you to run to. And
Mm-hmm.
once you get there, fire and brimstone from God's gonna fall on the city.
Oh.
And it does. It happens just like that in the story. Lot runs away. There's more that happens, but that's essentially what happens. He's saying, flee the evil city, basically, is the
Oh.
image here.
Uh-huh.
Edwards is saying, you live in Sodom right now. You live
Mm-hmm.
in this unrepentant state.
Oh.
You need to you need to come to Jesus. This is the come to Jesus
Ah.
moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's very, very picturesque about this, right?
Uh-huh.
I probably in a year,
Mm-hmm.
you might not remember this sermon, but you're going to remember that image of the spider over the fire with
Yes.
the pit. That's the
Mm-hmm.
nature of it. But run out of Sodom.
Mm-hmm.
Haste, make haste, like hurry up
Mm-hmm.
and escape for your lives.
Mm.
Look not behind you. What was that about? One of the things the angels told Lot's wife, they
Mm-hmm.
told them both, look, run away to the city that they told them to go to, run
Yes.
away, and don't look back.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
Well, what do you think happened? Lot's wife, not Lot, not his daughters, Lot's wife looked back
Mm,
and she turned into a pillar of salt, the story says.
oh.
Escape to the mountain. What was that about? Because he told them this was an area with some mountains around it. They were in a flat part. And the angel had told Lot and his family, look, run across the plain to that city that we showed you,
Mm-hmm.
that you can see the city. we
Yes.
can't we can't do anything until you get where you're going, but we're angels, we're going to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says don't look back, but flee the plain, this
Oh.
flat part, go to the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
because all of this plain is going to get destroyed by fire
Oh.
when the city is destroyed. So
Mm.
that's a reference to this. Let
Oh, okay.
everyone fly or run, flee. Let
Mm-hmm.
everyone flee out of Sodom. Hurry up and escape for your lives.
Mm-hmm.
Look not behind you, don't look back. Escape to the mountain, lest or for fear that you be consumed. This is a quotation from
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 19, where the story comes from.
Mm.
He's like, look, run to Jesus,
Ah.
beg Jesus for mercy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the door. Beg
Mm-hmm.
Jesus for mercy. That's your only hope.
Oh. Indeed.
Quite a
Very, very.
sermon, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. The whole sermon. This is only about a third of the sermon,
Oh.
but this is the most famous part of. But it might be instruct if you're interested. It might be instructive to read the whole sermon sometime.
Mm. Oh,
It's
okay.
quite, it's quite, but this piece of it, very deliberate language
Mm-hmm.
in there.
Indeed.
How does that compare to Powhatan's
Well, I think when I first read the text for the Powhatan, it felt more like the deity being the master of life was kind of like reminding and also kind of showing to the Powhatans how
no,
they've
Powhatan is
oh
one person.
oh okay. Mm, oh, then I might need to review the particular
Let's
group.
what what reading is that?
That would be, it's within the same chapter. So within chapter 4 in the primary source section, it would say, I believe it's the Powhatan's call to war.
Okay, let me look, because
Mhm.
I don't have the reader. I just look up the actual. Let me look for it right now,
Oh, okay.
because I didn't download the reader. I'm sure it's not
Hmm.
but it might be useful to like look at both of these and then we can do some.
Yes, I could also bring up the prompt as well to share a little bit about what the prompt entails. I can actually let me put that in the chat.
Let me get the Powhatan's call to war. Yeah. Okay, colliding cultures, version one. Let me see. It has um let me see what it says here.
Hmm.
Let me, because it's not giving. I was there before and I didn't, let's see.
Hmm.
Yup, reader. Powhatan's call to war. Let's try that. See if I can find it. Okay. F-17 colliding cultures. But this is not the same thing. Do you have the actual
Yes.
link?
Yes, I do.
Because
I actually have a link to the actual
I'm
text.
not seeing the actual, I'm
Hmm.
seeing the chapter that it's in. And oh wait, Pontiac calls for war. Is that this?
Oh, if you're looking at the chat, that's actually the prompt for the essay. But let me bring up the
Okay, I think I found it.
oh,
It
okay.
took a minute, but I think let me download it because
Hmm.
yeah, okay. I have it here. This thing. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Let me share the screen here
Hmm.
so I can, and then we'll look at the prompt after
Yeah,
we
I
read.
think I'm actually okay with if our focus today is just on, and actually with the prompt, actually, I think it would be very helpful for me with regards to getting through my essay.
Well, this is a lot shorter than
Yes,
than
indeed.
Edward's sermon. Okay, so Pontiac, an
Mm-hmm.
Ottawa chief. So Pontiac, Chief Pontiac.
Mm-hmm.
Pontiac's the guy.
Yes.
Ottawa's the name of the tribe.
Oh, okay.
He's part of the Ottawa tribe of Indians. War chief drew on the teachings of the prophet Neolin
Mm-hmm.
to rally resistance to European powers.
Mm-hmm.
This passage includes Neolin's call that Native Americans abandon ways of life adapted after contact with Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you've been corrupted by Europeans. So
Mm-hmm.
God, who they call Neolin, is talking to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says, that's Neolin, I am
Mm-hmm.
the master of life, whom thou desirest to know. Now, Neolin speaks in this sort of weird English. I am the master of life who you want to know
Mm-hmm.
and to whom you would speak. You want to speak to me, you want to know me.
Mm-hmm.
I am the master of life. Listen well to what I'm going to say to you and all of your red brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So, not just you, but all of the Indians, all
Mm-hmm.
of the different tribes, all of the Indians from all the tribes. I, Neolin, am he who made heaven and earth, the trees, the lakes, the rivers, all men,
Mm-hmm.
and everything you see and all that you have seen on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the creator and I've made all things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love you. Interesting. Not I hate you and you're
Yeah, I see. Uh-huh.
because I love you, you must do what I say
Mm-hmm.
and not do what I hate.
Mm-hmm.
If you love me, you want me to speak to you, you want to know me, why would you do what I hate? That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how this, you know what I mean? He's talking to them like, I love you. You want to know me. You want to
Mm-hmm.
do the things that please me, not what I hate. I do not like that you drink until you lose your reason as you do. You drink so much, you get stupid drunk, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that you fight with each other, or that you take two wives,
Mm-hmm.
or run after the wives of others.
Mm-hmm.
You run after people who aren't your spouses,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're unfaithful. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
You do not do well. You must have but one wife and keep her until death.
Mm-hmm.
When you are going to war, you juggle, you join the medicine dance, and you believe that I'm speaking. So they do their rituals that they
Mm-hmm.
do before they go to war. You believe that I'm speaking. You are mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I'm not speaking to you and all that.
Uh-huh.
It is to Manitou who you speak, the devil. essentially. He is
Oh.
a bad spirit who whispers to you nothing but evil,
Mm-hmm.
and to whom you listen because you do not know me well.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew me, you would know that he wasn't speaking the right words. You would know that what you're hearing is deceitful.
Oh.
This land where you live now, I have made for you and not for others.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part we read in your book, remember?
Mm-hmm.
This is the excerpt. This land where you live, I have made for you and not for others.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that others can't pass through it, not to say that you have to hate the others, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is your land. It doesn't belong to other people. These are your toys, essentially, right? How
Mm-hmm.
comes it that you, again, here's that word suffer. In this case, it means allow. How
Oh.
how is it? This is a weird phrasing. How comes it that you suffer the whites on your mind? In other words, how come you allow the white people to be on your land?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to let them pass through, or, but how is it that you allow them to be there? Can
Oh.
you not do without them? Isn't it possible for you to survive without them? You did before, right?
Mm.
I know,
Uh-huh.
Nealon says,
Mm-hmm.
that those whom you call the children of your great father supply your wants.
Mm-hmm.
So you call these white men the children of your great father,
Oh.
and they supply your wants. But if, Nealon says,
Mm-hmm.
you were not bad, so in that sense, he's giving them their situation, just like Jonathan Edwards did.
Ah.
He's told them why they're bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why are they bad? Why are the Indians bad? Why does
Mm.
Nealon say they're bad?
Because they're moving away from their traditions. They're moving away from
Okay.
as well as allowing the white colonists to basically take hold of
Right,
places that the Master of Life created
right.
for
And
the
what
Ottawa.
what good and what other behaviors does he mention?
Oh, the sense that they fight with each other, that they are with more than one woman, that they
Uh-huh.
take the wives of other men, that they are drunk,
Yeah,
that
exactly. So you got it. Right.
mm-hmm,
So just like Edwards, I mean, it's not as
mm-hmm,
poetic.
mm,
I mean, you don't have the spider dangling over hell, right?
yes,
But essentially, Edwards is saying, wait,
mm-hmm,
you're about to drop into a pit of fiery lava
mm-hmm,
forever, alive.
mm-hmm,
And Nealon is saying, wait,
mm-hmm,
you got along without the so-called children of your white father for a long time.
mm-hmm,
And if you were doing well, you would know that it was deceitful what they're saying.
mm-hmm,
But you don't know that because you've, Jonathan Edwards would say, you've fallen asleep, right? You
mm-hmm.
don't know what you're doing here. You're being stupid. Like, you know,
Uh-huh.
it's similar to what Edwards would say. They're asleep. They don't know.
Mm-hmm,
Because again, and it's the same thing here. Jonathan Edwards is more severe in this
mm-hmm.
because they don't know God. They're unregenerate souls, right? They haven't
Oh,
been regenerated. But he says, Nealon says, you listen to them,
mm-hmm,
you listen to evil because you do not know me well.
mm-hmm,
Jonathan Edwards says, you listen to evil because you are evil, first of all,
mm-hmm.
and you don't know God. and you don't know you need him. So
Oh.
it's similar in that way.
Mm-hmm.
This land where you live, I have made for you and not for others. How comes it? How is it that you allow the whites on your lands? Can you not do without them? I know
Mm.
those whom you call the children of your great father supply your wants. But if you were not bad as you are,
Mm-hmm.
you would well do without them. You
Mm-hmm.
might live now. This kind of holy is not sacred holy. This is
Mm-hmm.
entirely. You might live
Ah.
entirely as you did before you knew them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need them. You
Uh-huh.
you had a perfectly fine existence before they ever knew you existed, before you ever you can live holy as you did before that.
Mm-hmm.
Before those whom you call your brothers, the children of the great father, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking about your Indian, your red brothers. He's talking about the white men that they're calling their
Oh.
brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Before those whom you call your brothers came on your lands, did
Mm-hmm.
you not live by bow and arrow?
Mm-hmm.
You had no need of gun nor powder. They got guns and powder they got from the colonists, nor
Mm-hmm.
the rest of their things, their beads and their clothing and their whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need any of that. Their coffee, you don't need any of that. And
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, in spite of all that, you
Mm-hmm.
caught animals to live and clothe yourselves with their skins. This is what you used to
Mm-hmm.
do. But when now he said, okay, remember that you did all that before they ever got here?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? But when I saw that you all of your
Mm-hmm.
red brothers in you,
Mm-hmm.
inclined to the evil, you were leaning toward evil. When I saw that, here's what I did. God
Oh.
says, Neil and says, I called back the animals into the depths of the woods
Oh.
because then it was harder for them to find it,
Mm-hmm.
right? They hid so that you had need of your brothers. So once I saw that you were inclined to follow the white men,
Mm-hmm.
I called the animals back. Animals were still there.
Mm-hmm.
I just called them back. And so you couldn't meet your needs. You had to go to the white man now,
Mm-hmm.
right? To have your wants, notice he doesn't say your needs, your wants supplied.
Oh.
And I, Neolin, shall send back to you the animals to live on.
Mm-hmm.
So I decide when they come because he controls all of creation. He had said that from the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do not forbid you for all that, for everything here, and all
Mm-hmm.
that you like, for how far you've come
Mm-hmm.
into this mess. He says, I do not forbid you for all that to, again, suffer here means allow, to
Mm-hmm.
allow among you the children of your father. You can allow them to be among you. I never said don't do that. I
Oh.
love them, he says.
Mm-hmm.
They know me and pray to me, and I give them their necessities and all that they bring to you. But as regards those who have come to trouble your country,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about the ones that know you, that you have relationship with, that respect you, that respect them. I'm talking about the ones that trouble your country,
Mm-hmm.
that make war, that do all that. Drive them out. Make war on them. I love them not.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is the wrathful kneeling, right? What you heard
Oh.
there before was the merciful kneeling. If you
Mm-hmm.
turn and I'll give you mercy, I'll bring the animals back.
Mm-hmm.
I'll love the people that are in your land. Kind of like Jesus, like, I
Mm-hmm.
am the door, come to the door of mercy, right? But
Yes.
the people that I'm pissed off at, like, I'm ready to execute my wrath on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drive them out, make war on them. I love them not. They know me not. They are my enemies and the enemies of your brothers. Send them back to the country which I made for them. So, in this sense, it's not like send them back to hell, but
Mm-mm.
it's sort of similar. It's like you belong in this land. This is the land for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a land for them. And the people who want to remain among you and be peaceful and marry and pray to me and honor me, right? Very much like
Mm-hmm.
God, if you honor me, I'll make you my son, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those who don't, those who make war on you, I'll make war on, send them back.
Oh.
Send them back where they belong because they don't belong here. And there let them remain. Let them stay there. Let you stay here. That's the essence of it.
Oh, okay. Now that's interesting because when I first read it, I
Very,
also
very different tone than it.
yes, that was what stood out to me the most. It was the tone and how it was more like yes, in this case the deity for the Ottawa being the master of
Neolin.
life
Mhm.
and Neolin being the prophet who provided this message or provided a message that then other Ottawan war chiefs like the Pontiac
Pontiac and yeah.
interpreted as again a sense of again the wrath
It's
of
a
the
call
master.
to war. It's a holy war. It's very much like I gave you this land belongs to you. You
Mm-hmm.
have it by divine right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing was just how it was still, a sense of a call to action to the extent of it
Yes.
being returning back to traditional values and beliefs, as well as again, it to me it felt more like straightforward in the sense that
Very much so. Yeah.
Master of Life is saying, return to these traditional values and have these non-natives, meaning the white
Yeah.
colonists,
Like,
out.
uh-huh.
While Jonathan Edwards was a lot more, again, as you said, very eloquent, very expressive, but also had a goal of enlightening people to see more deeply and also
I think
specifically
that's true
to
too, but this is more, Edward is more
hmm
coming in from the outside and
uh
trying to wake people up, kind of. Like
yes.
it's kind of like if you have family dynamics and your family's falling apart, right?
hmm
If you think of God the Father and he wants relationship with his children, so he sends Jesus, right? Only the children are not responding to you, right?
hmm
So Jonathan Edwards is that person from outside the family that can see this, right? And
hmm
he's like, you don't understand how messed up you are
hmm
and how upset the father is about this whole situation. Like,
hmm
he's about ready to throw in the towel and, like, you know, and
very
so
much.
it's kind of, yes, he's in that predicament too, but he's talking to them from a where Neolin is talking to them as, look,
Mm-hmm.
I'm your dad. I made
Oh.
you.
Mm-hmm.
You are my sons. What
Oh.
the blazes are you doing?
Oh.
What are you doing here?
Mm.
So I think that's part of the difference in the tone,
Mm-hmm.
is that this prophecy from Nealon is more, it's very corrective. It's just like Edwards is correct. It's very corrective. It's like, you're doing this, this, and this wrong. You're not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Which Edwards basically says you're not doing well, and he gives us the graphic picture of
Mm-hmm.
how unwell they're doing. Right?
Oh, uh-huh.
If you got rid of the whole spider over the, the insect over the fire, and you're in God's hand and God's about to drop you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You got rid of that whole image. The image here is, look, you're not doing well and you're about to lose everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you really distill it, which is what Neolin says, he's like, what are you doing? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
gave you this land. Like, I gave you this land, and you're trouncing around, you're running after the white men for
Mm-hmm.
stuff you want, not realizing that I gave you all that.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, toward the end, he says, look, everything that they gave you, I gave to them. I gave them that stuff that they gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, but it is a very different tone. It
Mm-hmm.
conveys some similar messages. I mean, nobody's doing well here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Nobody's doing well here. And there's going to be pain, and there's going to be destruction, and there's going to
Mm-hmm.
be loss.
Yes.
But there's not the same sort of existential import. There is the threat of eternal loss, in the sense that you're not going to get your land back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you need to
Yeah.
make war on them, and you need to listen to me. The
Mm-hmm.
whole "you didn't listen well" is
Mm-hmm.
what Jonathan Edwards pounded in that sermon.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Neolin too, you can feel not only the anger behind the father. I think the creator's anger here is, it's every bit as present
Mm-hmm.
as Edward's anger. It's just not as
Fiery.
severe
Mm-hmm.
as that, because
Yes.
it's tempered by what I read into it, and you
Mm-hmm.
might read something different, but what I read into it is almost like disbelief. Like,
Ah.
this creator knows them, but it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You're in your dances, you think you're talking to me. And this is something that Jonathan Edwards, he doesn't say it in these exact words, but you
Mm-hmm.
think you're okay with me. You think you're dancing and you're hearing me, and you're hearing the devil.
Mm.
You're in your dances and you're hearing Mantau, and you think it's me, but it's not. It's the devil that you're hearing, because you don't know me well. And that's what Edwards is saying when he's saying, you think you're safe, you think you're secure, you think that you can do all these things, and you're going to be out of hell, and you don't know me well either. You don't know God
Mm-hmm.
well. So
Very much so.
in that sense it's similar, but I hear more sadness and disbelief here
Yes, uh-huh.
than I do in Edwards. Edwards is just,
Angry.
yeah, and well, he wants to convey that.
Hmm.
And he's worked himself up into a state of alarm for the souls of these people because he wants them to see what they've done. So very, very similar. Let's look at the prompt and see
Yes, I posted it in the chat and
why,
I
what do Pontiac's call for war and Jonathan Edwards' call for religious revival have in common? What is different?
hmm
Consider how each uses religious authority to justify their call for action. What do they think the action should be and their goals? There's a lot of questions in here.
hmm
Let's do this.
hmm
Let's, there's a lot of questions in this.
Yeah, and I find that what a good strategy I've been utilizing is just breaking it down. EAs have also provided
Exactly.
this,
Yeah.
breaking it down to the smaller chunks.
Yeah, for sure. Because this is one of those. I used to one of the technique. I think I've shared it before, but it bears repeating.
Hmm.
Is read to the periods.
Oh.
Um, is read every sentence and break it apart as because this one has a bunch of questions in here, like a
Hmm.
lot.
Hmm.
Um, you could write on this for a long time. A long, 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 long time. We're not
Indeed.
gonna, but what I'm gonna do, okay, you want me to clean out my email again. Oh, goody. Why do you have to remind me right now? Uh,
Mm.
all right, not yet. I'll manage it, I promise, but not yet. We're gonna call this, we'll call it Pontiac. Oops. We're not gonna copy the whole thing in here, which is what they tend to do.
Hmm.
But we're gonna call this Pontiac and Edwards. I'll save it and I'll share it with you. So we're gonna call it that, send it to you. Okay. So, okay. Here's the first question.
Hmm.
Here's the second question. Here's the third question. Here's the fourth question. I'm going to say, what do Pontiac and Edwards think the actions should be?
Hmm.
And actually, this is a two-part question, so I'm going to put it down here. So I'm going to say, here I'm going to rewrite this in parentheses. In other words, what are the goals
Hmm.
of the actions?
Oh, okay.
What are the goals? So what actions are we going to take? What is the goal of that action? And what role does nostalgia play in their appeals? That's another question.
Hmm.
And how does each explicitly or implicitly justify conflict between colonists and native peoples? So, all right. So what do Pontiac's, let's not write in bold anymore. Let's go down here. So what do Pontiac's call for war and Jonathan's call for religious revival have in common? What's
Well,
the
mhm.
same about them?
Well, I think one thing that and I actually have a little table that I made for myself so far that I've done. Uh so one thing I think that they had in common was that they both called for their people to take action. So that's where I connected it to a difference, which was that for the Pont, well, now I will have to readjust it, but for the Ottawa, to take action when it came to returning to traditional practices and a way of life that they had before the colonists arrived. While Edwards had a call to action that was to connect God and understand the consequences that came with it.
So
So,
the
yeah.
source of where they would go is different. Um,
Yes. Uh-huh.
so Pontiac, Pontiac and the, or I'm gonna say Pontiac and
Mm-hmm.
his brother tribes were to return to traditional values, right?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Where um the sinners that Edwards preached to were to seek God for mercy
Mm-hmm.
and the regeneration of their souls,
Uh,
right? The actions are, so the actions are different, right?
mm-hmm.
Also, what else about this was different?
So something else I wrote down. So another thing that I when I first read it that I felt was common was that both are condemning or warning their people of the actions that they have taken against their deity. But then
Okay.
the difference would be that the Ottawa's deity, the Master of Life, warns of the distance they have taken from traditional ways. In the case of Edwards, he uses imagery about how people have become distant from God and see him as a being that doesn't impact their life. So that's just to illustrate that they have the commonality of essentially a warning, or in addition to what we've talked about, um, kind of a sense of disappointment towards their respective people regarding actions they have taken. But those actions are what's the different between the Ottawa and Edwards uh I don't know if this correct word would be to say sinner, since it is an address towards people who have.
He calls them sinners, so
Mhm.
Edwards calls them sinners. Um,
Ah, okay.
Leland doesn't, but yeah, you can call them sinners because Edwards is talking to sinners,
Mm-hmm.
people who don't have regenerate hearts. So you could I'm using his language for the sake of the essay itself. Like that's why. You could also call them Edward's audience or his parishioners. His audience is different. You could talk to that. But Edward's, he knows that there's people, there are some, not very many in that group, but there are some that he sees as saved, as regenerated, right? But he
Mm-hmm.
says there's not very many of them in
Mm-hmm.
that group. He does make a brief reference to them for the end of the sermon, but
Yes,
his
uh-huh.
sermon is really not directed at them. His sermon is
Ah,
directed his sermon is directed at the people who aren't doing what they should.
yes.
It's
So,
kind it's kind of like if you have the lost sheep and the found sheep. This is a sermon to the lost sheep. This isn't a
okay.
sermon to the sheep that are already there. You
Okay.
know, this isn't a sermon to the sheep that are doing, or you know how when you're in class sometimes and the teacher's like, now for those of you who didn't read the chapter,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then he proceeds to go on and tell you about the chapter and how you all are going to have to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not directed at the 4 people that did read the chapter. It's directed at the people who didn't.
Yeah.
Edwards is directed at definitely the people who didn't, which doesn't mean that there might be a few people listening who aren't. You know what I mean?
Mm. Uh-huh.
Maybe you did read the chapter. This message is not directed at you, but it doesn't mean they didn't hear it.
Oh.
So, but his message definitely is directed at that. So both texts are warnings
Mm-hmm.
to change behavior and think correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
About their condition. Physically and spiritually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's I have to put it on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how they're the same, right? How
Yes.
are they different? Well, you mentioned this already. Let me move this up here. There you go. Before I forget about it,
Mm-hmm.
the tone of the text
Oh,
is
okay.
different.
Yes. Tone definitely.
Edward's tone is angry and fearful, designed to wake up
Mm-hmm.
the people, right? Um, um, the master of life, in contrast, is angry, but takes a more loving and corrective tone
Okay.
toward the children who do not know him well,
Hmm.
right? Because that's what he says. So tone is a big deal. Um, also, um, there is Edwards doesn't really go into that many behaviors. It's more like how they think. Edwards is not railing against their behavior in this
Hmm.
excerpt. He's not telling them, you bunch of drunken slobs.
Yeah.
It's not in that sense. His is more thought processes, which
Mm-hmm.
which Neil and also, or the Master of Life, also addresses. What else did you see here?
Something else that I noticed was another thing that was kind of a um common thing that I noticed within both primary sources was that both the Ottawa and Edwards, or specifically Pontiac, an Ottawa leader, and Edwards, want to make their people think about their actions towards tradition and reverence to a deity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The difference here is that when it came to the Pontiac, I might be reiterating something we've said, but this is what I had previously was thinking. When it came to the Pontiac's delivery of the prophecy of the Master of Life with regards to the removal of white colonists, it was very much directed towards a single goal, which which was to remove the white colonists from their land. However, in the case of Edwards, delivery about God and the strictness he will have on the congregation shows a level of demand and deep reflection that Edward wants to get from people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so,
So there's like a deeper um Edwards, I would say
mhm,
Edwards tries to draw on a deeper sense of reflection. That's
mhm,
a good observation. Um,
yes,
in his audience than does the Master of Life. I don't think, and I think that's because in a sense, like, first of all, the Master of Life is not as he's stirred up. I mean,
mhm,
but it's not an angry, it's not that fiery anger discourse.
no, mm-mm,
It's more, I'm disappointed, I'm angry, I'm upset. Stop this. You know what I mean? And I think it's more a sense of like, if I tell them, they'll turn. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
yes,
dealing. Sometimes you have children and you know that, your children do something very bad, but sometimes you have a child who's very sort of receptive to correction. And so you
mm-hmm.
don't have to like spank them 10 times.
Oh,
You
mm-hmm.
spank them twice and they're sobbing and crying, and they're going to turn. And there's other kids that you have to really work on them, and spanking them is useless because you've done it,
Yeah.
and like that's not going to work
Mm-hmm.
and I think the Master of Life is more like You don't need me to spank you a bunch of times, but I need to come and tell you that what you're doing is not right. And Jonathan Edwards though was like, okay, we're going to the woodshed here. Like you need to figure this out. So I think that that's um where the master of life draws on
Mm-hmm.
um the master of life draws more on relationship
Mm-hmm.
because he does. Jonathan Edwards talks to them as if they're objects of his wrath. You're
Uh-huh.
all object. God hates you, he says. He tells
Mm,
them that more than once. God hates you. You're objects of his wrath. He hates
mm,
you.
yes.
And there's a tiny mention of Jesus and his mercy, like, you know, but
Oh, yes.
you're
Uh-huh.
objects of God's wrath. And the master of life doesn't do that.
Mm-mm.
He says, I love you, but you're messing up right now. Like, it
Yes.
doesn't change the fact that I love you, but you're really not going on the right path here. The master of life draws more on relationship and tries to get his children
In line.
in line. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's you can consider more things, but I think that's good. How does
Yeah.
each use religious authority to justify their call for action?
Now this is the one where I'm still kind of working towards, but I think now that we've
Do you
read,
understand what it's asking?
it's asking for how the religious context of both the Pontiac's call for war and then Jonathan Edwards' sermon, how does that religious context lead into the actual actions? I'm not sure if that's
Yeah, that's so. If I were going to reword this,
hmm
I would say something like this.
hmm
Jonathan Edwards and Pontiac, right?
hmm
Both have religious authority, right?
hmm
They get it from God, their respective gods.
hmm
They both have religious authority, right? How does each of them use their religious authority
hmm
to support
Hello, kid.
their call to action from their audience?
hmm
How does each of them use their religious authority to support their call to action from their audience? Is that clearer or not?
I would say so. That helps me to kind of see it more as, but we read portions of maybe a larger sermon or call to war in the case for the Pontiacs, but they're also people of authority. In the case for Pontiac, he was an Ottawa chief, which is probably
He was the war chief, so he was like the war general. He was the one in charge
mm,
of like, yeah, definitely.
of rallying the
But
his
more
people.
importantly, it's not just what position they had. How did they
Hmm
use that position? How did they
Ah.
use, because that position is an asset, right?
Oh,
How are they
uh-huh.
using that position? That how are they using that as an asset to justify? So I would say something like this, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
would say, Jonathan Edwards um, does not appeal to himself, but to God.
Mm-hmm.
And nevertheless,
Mm-hmm.
Edwards supposes that many listeners
Mm-hmm.
are out of Christ. He uses that phrase, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, since Edwards is in Christ,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's
Mm-hmm.
he's in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming at them from I'm the in Christ one, right? Um, he can he can see more clearly to help them and wake them up. Um, he also can tell them how God sees them and how close many of his listeners are to wrath. Something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um, so Edwards uses his authority
Mm-hmm.
to remove all of the excuses
Mm-hmm.
that people would have for not um, getting in line, to use your phrase, because I like that,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
getting in line with God, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
He's all about, so now this is a little different where Powhattan
Mm-hmm.
uses his position as the war chief
Mm-hmm.
and the voice of the prophet to remind the people that they are sons.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they are not acting as they should, they can change their behavior.
Indeed.
It is only because they do not know the master of life well
Hmm.
that they are listening to the devil, made essentially. Like
Hmm.
you might want to change that, but that's that's what I think. That's how he's using it to remind them of their sonship,
Hmm.
where Edwards is showing them how displeased he is,
Yes.
how displeased God is. Yes, the master of life is displeased too, but that's not Powhatan's focus.
Hmm.
The focus is on your sons. What are you doing? Like, why are
Hmm.
you giving away the inheritance, so to speak?
Yeah. Hmm.
That's how they're using their authority differently. One is using it to show. So Edwards is using it to show, and I'm going to put this in brackets.
Hmm.
Okay. Edwards is using it to show how angry God is
Hmm.
and how precarious the situation is for his listeners, right? Where Pontiac, there's a precariousness too, but Pontiac is showing Jonathan Edward Pontiac shows how the master of life has created and given all things, and his sons are not acting in a loving way toward him.
Hmm.
And it's causing them great pain. That's
Hmm.
kind of the juxt of what this is. That's how they're
Yes.
using and the language is different. So they're trying to stir the people, right, to that. What do Pontiac and
Oh.
Edwards think those actions should be? Well, we kind of covered that, right?
Hmm. Yes.
So let me come down here. Um,
Just to check in, Miss Shauna, I also want to make sure that I'm not overstepping my time. Are you
no,
not?
you're okay. I don't have Daniela today.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's important that we finish this. We're
Mm,
not that far from
yes.
being done.
Indeed. Uh-huh.
So but I appreciate you checking in.
Mm.
So Pontiac
Yes.
thinks the red men should, or the red brothers
Yes.
should drive out
Mm-hmm.
the children of the white father
Mm-hmm.
who want to take their lands.
Ah, okay.
War should be made on them
Mm-hmm.
and they should be driven back to the land they came from.
Yes, uh-huh.
The white brothers, or the red brothers
Mm-hmm.
should reform their ways,
Mm-hmm.
stop drinking in excess,
Mm-hmm.
be faithful to their wives,
Mm-hmm.
and love the master of life.
Mm-hmm.
Edwards
Mm-hmm.
thinks, oops,
Mm-hmm.
his people should,
Mm-hmm.
or his audience, because they're not his people. His
Mm, yeah.
audience, they're his
Mm-hmm.
people, but his audience should give sober
Mm,
consideration
yes.
to their spiritual state
Mm-hmm.
and get rid of any excuses
Mm-hmm.
for not coming to God. People should immediately cry out to Jesus
Mm-hmm.
for mercy and earnestly seek the regeneration of their souls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, what are the goals of their actions? Right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
for you can add to this or subtract
Of
from it. I'm
course,
just trying to
yeah.
give you some ideas, okay?
Indeed, this will definitely be I'll definitely be using it as a guide to further my thinking on what we've read today.
And
As well,
you can quote from some of the passages, but now you at least know what they said.
yes,
Um,
indeed.
for Pontiac and the Red Brothers, the goal is to reclaim their land from the children of the white
Mm-hmm.
father so that they are once more dependent on the master of life.
Mm-hmm.
They are to return
Mm-hmm.
to their love for him. If there are white men among them, oops,
Mm-hmm.
who want to live at peace,
Mm-hmm.
they are invited, or they should be invited
Mm-hmm.
or allowed, suffered. Okay. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put that here.
Mm-hmm.
Allowed, suffered, because I don't want you to think of pain when you think of that.
Ah,
Not
yes, yes, yes.
That's not in that sense. Suffer me to do so and so
Ah.
means to allow. So they
Oh.
should be allowed, suffered. So if you read a sentence and suffer doesn't make sense in the sense of pain, it probably means allow because that's a
Oh.
use of that word.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. I've always seen the term always representing pain, but it's no interesting
Suffer
to
it
know.
to be so now to fulfill all
Ah.
righteousness, kind of thing like that. Um,
Mm,
they should be suffered to do so. Um, the goal is to live at peace in the land that their deity has given them.
mm-hmm.
For Edwards, goal is that people escape
Mm-hmm.
the eternal wrath. And in this case, I do mean pain,
Mm-hmm.
wrath and suffering of God or of sin, or
Mm-hmm.
by appealing to the mercy of God. Only God can regenerate
Mm-hmm.
a soul. Um, and Edwards wants his listeners to contemplate or think about their
Mm-hmm.
spiritual state, be changed
Mm-hmm.
inwardly, live for God, and enjoy the blessing of his presence for eternity. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's sort of how that works. Um,
Yes.
and then what role does nostalgia play in each of their appeals?
Yes.
Nostalgia is looking back. What did you have to
Mm-hmm.
say about that?
Well, this is an interesting one because when I first read the prompt, I was a little like, hmm. But when my professor kind of provided a bit of context to it, I think it's kind of like looking at maybe things that we've touched on now about in the case of the Ottawa, that nostalgia probably would look like in terms of a time where where they had almost like pre-contact to an extent from the
Yes, I agree
colonists.
with that.
Um, and I think in the case for them, that helped to kind of kind of like be a bit of the motivation to push for having war with the white colonists, in this case the French, because they wanted to return to that. They wanted to return to a time where they were both at peace within their own communities, but also within the spaces that they live. It kind of reminds me a lot of what we learned when we were reading about the Chesapeake Man, or if I might have mentioned the Chesapeake Man, about his um in that case that was a different group, the Algonquin, I think it was the Algonquin
Hmm.
Indians, more up north, but kind of around Canada. Um, it was about trying to bring a sense of comparison to their life and how their life pre pre-contact to the colonists was abundant. It was, in a sense, peaceful and harmony that existed. And though they adopted, very similar to what we're seeing here with the Ottawa, they adopted um, tools, maybe some of the food, the culture from the French, and they slowly started to see a decline in both in lifespan, which we know that's not really, maybe they could, again, consuming new food items that they weren't entirely familiar with, but
Right.
primarily was more the contact with, again, a foreign group of people coming to their country and being the main cause for their decline.
Hmm.
But I think going back with the Ottawa, I think that was their representation of nostalgia. And again, that's very well represented within the messaging from the Master of Life. He's trying to basically create a path of redemption for them, to be able to see that yes, all of these things that they've done, he's not he doesn't like it. He doesn't like that they've taken this path. But he also loves his children, but he needs to tell them what life was like before to be able to continue that. Which, it's a little bittersweet to know that that war, the Pontiac's War, unless I'm misremembering from our discussion about the war, ultimately still ended with the French
Yeah,
ultimately
exactly.
becoming,
Yeah,
yeah.
they lost. The red men lost.
Mm-hmm.
They had lost their land. They didn't listen well, so they didn't
Mm-hmm.
repent. So, in Edward's terms, those are the people who ultimately lost the war and went to hell because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that you would juxtapose the two, but
Mm-hmm.
they didn't get what they were hoping for.
Yeah.
By telling them what life was like before, um, the master of life was able to um
Was able to, let me double check myself here.
well, what you said is that he
Mm-hmm. Um, mm, I think to yeah.
spurred them to action and
Mm-hmm.
illustrate his displeasure, right,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
with their current situation, something like that, right?
Yes. Now with Edwards, it's a little bit more. I'm not sure this would be the nostalgia that his sermon might be representing, but I think generally taking again, plus the primary sources that I have, the text is the textbook and the chapter are my other source to draw upon. And I think that when we read about specifically in the case for Edwards, it would be about the Great Awakening, learning about how this was
Mm-hmm.
um understanding a time where people were, because of the sense that they had dispensable income that they could use to consume and purchase luxury British goods that were coming into the colonies. They were almost like focusing more on themselves. I'm not sure if it's correct to say mm, it's if they were selfish of being
Yeah,
so almost
yeah.
like excited that they had a new world, a new life in a new blossoming kind of world that they were now living in, that they weren't almost like being reflective of like the things they had and how they, prior to this were suffering and not having a great time, with Jamestown being the best example of that. But I think maybe the nostalgia that Edwards is illustrating is maybe going before the Great Awakening, this period of time where people were like almost like more invested within their understanding and maybe relationship with God. But at the same time, that's where I'm a little iffy because, again, throughout our discussion of the development of the colonies and the relationship they've had, like with the motherland, in this case, uh, Britain and other larger powers, um, we know religion it's always been there, it's always been present, but
Mm-hmm.
the context in which religion has been used to be a a driver for war, for moral, you could say the moral high ground in some cases, especially with the formation of slavery. Um, I think in the case for Edwards, I think it's kind of going back to that almost like because I think again, maybe this is where I have to go back and review this for myself, but it's like figuring out like what was it simply a sense of like a disconnect with God? Almost like, I don't know if this is a good transition or comparison to, but like in modern times, how,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
people still practice and there's now many more religions, probably more than what Edwards was in his time. But now, people are definitely more along the lines of like, well, not saying that all people are, but a sense of mm, there's other things that are, of course, equally important, but more of a focus to people now than maybe going to church or going to
Mm-hmm.
um, religious ceremonies or practices. Again, not saying that that's not present anymore. Again,
Yeah, no,
I
I
lived through that, so I
absolutely.
know that that's something that is definitely still strong. But I think I guess I'm trying to use a modern way of understanding to kind of see if this is what Edwards is kind of trying to almost think nostalgically about. A sense that people before him and before the Great Awakening were almost like more heightened, more attuned to God and being more connected to him. But because in his time, the sense of that high level of consumerism brought people, almost like it became a distraction in a sense to
Mm-hmm.
people because now they
Mm-hmm.
weren't as focused on maybe their values or their
Yeah,
sense of
exactly.
relationship with God,
Going
which
back to that, right?
which is actually very much something that exists today. There's so much more things in terms of like if we put it like, in entertainment, in commerce, like it still is that. It's definitely is something that it's almost like we're still looking at that same kind of dilemma that Edwards lived through. Of course, his was very much it was still a very heightened level of new new goods and things that people could now have. Um, but either way, people were starting to distance themselves. I think it would be interesting to learn if, again, this would be good for me to go back into the text, if there was an equivalent of, I'm not sure, I guess it's a question for you, Miss Shauna. When did the term atheist became, when did the word atheist become a term that
That's
was
a good
used?
question. I don't know that, but
Uh-huh.
I think to come back to, because I'm running out of time. I do have a
Okay.
little bit of time, but I am running out
Yes.
of time here.
Uh-huh.
This is a hard question to answer without having a broader context of the sermon.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Little bit broader context of the sermon. This question is really hard to answer based on
Mm-hmm.
just the excerpt that you have, if that's the only thing you know about Edwards.
Yeah.
But his focus on the wrath of God implies that his listeners came to this state somehow.
Yes.
Um, and so he he uses guilt and fear to drive people toward God
Mm-hmm.
as they look, as they contemplate themselves and look at the intensity
Mm-hmm.
and religious faithfulness or religious faith of others
Mm-hmm.
who take God seriously. I mean, I think that's about as much as you can say with what you have.
Okay.
I mean, because there's more to the sermon.
Yes.
And it's hard, the nostalgia is hard to sort of, because he doesn't hearken back to the past in
Uh,
this part of the sermon.
Yes.
He does at some points talk about the heights from which you've fallen, but not here.
Oh.
So it's hard, you know what I mean? It's hard to sort of see where your instructor was going with that, but I think it's more apparent in Pontiac's writing
Yeah.
than it
Yes,
is
indeed.
in Edwards, at least in this part of the sermon.
Yes.
Um, Pontiac, we kind of answered that up here,
Mm-hmm.
where by telling them what life was like before, right?
Yes.
Um, so I would go with that and
Okay.
just be. And how does each explicitly or implicitly justify conflict between colonists and native peoples? That's a lot easier to answer for Pontiac. It's a lot more concrete. So for Pontiac's people, the justification for conflict is to reclaim land that has been taken from them,
Mm-hmm.
land that has always been theirs by divine right,
Mm-hmm.
but which they have given away in a sense
Yes.
because the master of life was angry.
Yes.
Something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so um that's kind of the justification there. For Edwards, this is a little more oblique in this case because he's not talking at all about, for Edwards, the justification would rest more on the idea that the white or the colonists
Mm-hmm.
have, quote, the light of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that the um, Native Americans are, quote, living in darkness. Thus, the conflict is between those who are in Christ, and we talked about this, and have been allowed to come in
Mm-hmm.
to this land versus those who are outside of Christ
Mm-hmm.
and have had their land taken.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the conflict here, or in this case,
Yes.
is a conflict characterized by the contrast between light and dark,
Mm-hmm.
or light and darkness.
Yes.
Whereas up here, the conflict is characterized by the contrast between those who inherited, oops, but I did. I almost misspelled that word.
Oh, that's all right.
Inherited, there it is, inherited the land by divine right, and those who sought to take it by deceit or force. That's what I would say. I mean, that's off the top of my head, but
Yeah, perfectly all right, Miss Shauna.
let me throw it's on the Google Doc.
Yes, I believe I did get a, yep, I have it right here.
You have it?
Yes.
I'll throw it up one more time. Here's your, there it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I hope that helps, Oscar. If
Indeed, Miss Shauna, this will help as a guide,
if
indeed.
you want to read either Edwards or not Edwards, Rodriguez. If
Uh-huh.
you want to read Rodriguez or you want to read more of chapter 5 of the Yap,
Yes.
I have time tomorrow or Sunday. So
I think Sunday will be best. I think we'll
Sunday.
be able to.
Okay, and Monday, do you have class? Because I don't.
Oh, I
So
don't.
if
I don't have my class.
so if you would like to still meet, I'm sure we could
Yep.
also do
We'll
that.
we'll we'll definitely meet. Interesting for me is that generally I don't have class on Monday, but I know Monday, this upcoming Monday will be President's Day.
Right.
Um, and but I know that CSULB doesn't get the day off.
Oh,
It
really?
yeah.
Do you have Friday instead?
Um,
Or you didn't take Friday either?
no,
Oh, well,
we actually like literally yesterday as I was doing my homework, some of the students and EAs were like kind of having a discussion because the student was kind of like saying, "Oh, you know why it's silly that we don't get the day off for President's Day." And then another fellow classmate and then the EA were like kind of explaining to him, "Well, it's because one, we get a longer, no, we get a relatively shorter
oh,
winter break."
yeah, you get a shorter winter, but you start later. You start like a week later, don't you?
Yeah. So yeah, well, either way, I'm definitely we're definitely still meeting Monday, and I'm
And
pretty sure.
the 15th is Martin Luther King Day. So
Oh yeah,
they're all smashed together right here. But
yes.
whatever you would like to read, work on, whatever, we can do that. I
Sounds
have
good.
I have time. So that was a really interesting
Yeah.
uh, set of reading, and I'm glad that we had a chance to go over it. I
Mm.
will post it for you so that you give me a few hours, and I
Yeah,
will
go.
post it for
Indeed.
you. But definitely, so you can go back and re-listen to it and hear what we had to say. Okay.
Indeed, Miss Shauna.
I'll look forward to talking to you more, Oscar. We'll talk
In-
soon, okay?
Indeed, as always, Miss Shauna. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Take care.
You
Bye
too.
now.
Bye-bye.